Alright, so in this video we're going over the next question, which is for standard SL 1.2, which is arithmetic sequences and its applications, as well as series. So we have this problem where Curie is receiving some therapeutic drug. The amount that she receives increases by the same amount each day. On the 7th day she receives 21, and the 11th day she receives 29. And then she also receives this drug for 30 days. So first part, it's really important you read these questions part by part, right? So you know you're doing the right work in the right spot. It says write down an equation in terms of U1 and D for the amount of the drug that she receives on the 7th day. So we know that if you look at the formula book, they give you this formula, something like this, right? So this is telling us the formula for an arithmetic sequence given u1 and d and an n value. So in terms of u1 and d, that means these are going to be our variables. The amount she receives on the 7th day, right? So the 7th day is going to be u7 equals, again, u1 we don't know yet, d we don't know yet, but then n is going to be 7, right? You could leave it like that, or you could go ahead and simplify a little bit. Sorry, that's just going to be 7 minus 1 is 6, so it's just going to be 6d, right? So a little bit simplified, it's going to be easier to work with. Next one says write down an equation for how much drug she receives on the 11th day. Same idea, right? Just u11 is going to equal u1 plus d times 11 minus 1, which is 10, right? So u11, if we simplify this, is u1 plus 10d. Right, now it says write down the value for, write down the value of d and the value of u1, right? So now we basically have a system of equations, and we need to figure out what's the value of u1 and d. You could solve it algebraically by hand if you want to, or you can go to your calculator and create a system of equations and solve it, right? So this is like a system of equations where we know that basically, and sorry, I should change one other thing on here. We know the value of u7 and u11, right? u7 was 21 and u11 was 29 from the problem, right? Okay, so if I'm going to write a matrix for this, it's going to be, I'm going to write u1 in this spot, I'm going to write d in this spot, and then I'm going to write un in this spot, right? So for this equation up here, it's going to be, we're just going to write the coefficients, right? So the coefficient of the first term is 1, the coefficient of the d is 6, and the answer over here is 21. And for the second equation, it's also going to be 1, 10, and 29, right? So this is going to be a matrix. And again, I just took the coefficients from these system of equations. So on my calculator, we're going to need to go to matrix. You press second matrix. We're going to go ahead and edit a matrix. Go over, we're going to edit matrix A. This is a 2 by 3 matrix, right? So it's a 2 by 3. And we're just going to enter our coefficients 1, 6, 21, 1, 10, 29. All right, once we have it entered in there, we're going to go ahead and go back to our main screen. We're going to play second matrix. This time we're going to do some math on our matrix. So we're going to go over to math, and we're going to go down to RREF. RREF, okay? So RREF, what do we want to do RREF on? We want to do it on matrix A. So again, I can do second matrix. We're going to choose that A, and then we're going to press enter. And it's going to do RREF for us, right? Which gives us 1, 0, 9 and 0, 1, 2. What that tells us is that U1 is 9 and that D is 2, right? So we got that here. U1 equals 9, D equals 2, right? And we knew which was which because of the position, right? The one that's in this position is U1, the one that's in this position is D. So right here, right, that's saying U1 is 9. Right here, that's saying D is 2. All right, so then next is we want to calculate the total amount of drug in milligram that she receives. So we got to do the summation formula. So a couple different ways to approach this, right? You can go to your formula book and look up the sum of the first n terms is given by these two formulas, right? You can choose which one you want to use, depending on what you have, right? If you have the nth term, if you have the last term, you can use this one. If you don't have the nth term, then you can use this formula. So let's go ahead and just try that real quick. So we want to know the total amount she receives. She's going to receive this for 30 days. So we're going to find S30, right? The sum of the first 30 terms. And that's going to be n over 2. So that's 30 over 2 times 2 times u1. u1 was 9, so 2 times 9 plus 30 minus 1 times d, which is 2, right? And then we just have to calculate that. Let's do a little bit on our own just so we don't mess it up, put it in the calculator. Or we don't even have to use the calculator if we don't want to. But maybe at this point, just so we don't accidentally do some mental math mistakes that are wrong. That's a plus sign. We're going to do 15 times 18 plus 29 times 2, close the parenthesis, and we're going to get 1,140 milligrams, right? Another way to do this is to use a sigma notation in a calculator. So you press math, go to this 0, which is summation, and we're going to sum from x equals 1 from the first day to the 30th day. What do we sum? Well, we sum our series, our sequence here, right? So our sequence is just, u1 plus n minus 1 times d. So that's just 9 plus, in this case the calculator only knows x, so we're going to put x minus 1 times 2. And if we do that, we get the exact same answer, right? So either way you do it, doesn't matter, you get the same answer, all right?